We are live.
All right.
Our first episode of the Happy Campers podcast.
Uh-huh.
So, the reason behind doing this is I think that you and I like to talk about. I'm going to turn so I can face you.
Mm-hmm.
I want to look at you because you're so beautiful. But you and I can talk about pretty much anything. And we were like, what would be a good way that we could continue to do that? But also maybe show people like friends and family or whatever how crazy and weird we are.
Yeah, because I feel like
We're pretty weird.
I think we think we're entertaining, and like we said, I mean, if even if nobody watches us at all, at least we're
Right.
entertaining ourselves. We talked a little bit today about like this just kind of gives us a chance to talk about whatever we want, which is nice.
Right. And I think that we can talk about things that, like, because we don't do everything right, but we do a lot of things really well.
Mm-hmm.
I think that one thing that you and I are good at, and I know we talked about this before, obviously off air, was like when we first started dating.
Mm-hmm.
We're married now, for those of you that don't. But when we
Mm-hmm.
were dating, we would like get in a fight, and then we just wouldn't talk about it
Right.
for like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
We've been together for 6.
Mm-hmm.
I think 2 years in, we really started to be like you get to know them, like we get to know each other very well at that point, and then you like live with each other, and then you kind of are like, okay, something's bothering you, but like what is bothering you?
Mm-hmm.
And I know that for me, we were so afraid of offending the other person. It's like I'm not gonna say if it bothers me, and then it
Right.
just builds up inside,
Super unhealthy.
and then you just blow up,
Mm-hmm.
and then the other person's like, where is this coming from?
Right.
And we both did that.
I think that's a super common thing that people go through. But that's just an example of like, I don't know, how maybe we could be relatable.
Well, and I think it should. I mean, so we've matured quite a bit because now it's like if there's an issue, we talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
and it's better than letting it just be and not discussing it, and then it comes up eventually,
Right.
but in an unhealthy way when something else piles on top, and then it's like I don't even remember, I don't even remember when that happened. So then like
Right.
we're good at addressing things when when it's an issue and not letting the other person think everything's okay when it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people, you know, especially when you first start, because you're like, I don't want to lose this person. I don't, And it's like because you can say stuff where then they're just like, okay, bye. Like I'm not talking anymore.
Right.
We're past that.
Definitely. And I think you have to be comfortable with each other in order to do that. So we've been together now for 6 years, and I think we've just found that comfort, and now we've really figured out what we mean, and usually we
Right.
can.
We don't have any boundaries.
Right. Yes.
We have broken a lot of
Yeah.
comfort boundaries,
Yeah.
especially after the birth of our first child.
Yeah. Yeah. That's immediately what comes to mind every time.
Yeah. We well, and like okay, so we're due, as you can tell, we're due to have a baby. For those of you that can't see,
Uh-huh.
my wife is pregnant.
Yeah.
And we're due in about a month. And like the first time around, I remember, and I know that I've said this before, but like we were living in a house that wasn't. It was a decent sized house. It was an old college house, and we kind of renovated it and made it into a home.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a good first home, but it wasn't made for like a family, especially multiple families. So like when we had our first kid, we had so many people at the house,
Mm-hmm.
and I got overwhelmed. One, I grew up in a house with 3 sisters,
Mm-hmm.
so that was chaos.
Right.
So I was used to it when I was growing up. But then when you move out, I mean, I moved out when I was 18, went to college, and then you kind of were like, oh, now I can have like peace and quiet.
It's like always quiet when you go
Right.
to. Yeah.
So then when we had a bunch, it was the first time that we had a bunch of people in our house. I got overwhelmed, and everybody was so helpful. It was nobody's fault. It was just me not being comfortable with all the people.
Well, and we had just become parents.
Right. We had just brought a
Oh my
baby.
gosh, like that's a huge deal, you know?
Yeah. And so and like my mom and my grandma were both there, and they were both like, how can we help? Well, how can we do groceries?
Mm-hmm.
And I was overwhelmed. And I'm a mama's boy, so like she can tell when I'm off, and she's like,
Mhm.
"What is wrong?" And I'm like, "I'm just so overwhelmed," because it was like we had 2 dogs, and then my nephew was there, and they were just running around the house, and then the house was messy. It was just chaos. And then this time around, because I talked to my mom, and she was like, "Hey, like I was like, who's all gonna be here?" And she's like, "Well, it's actually gonna be less people,
Mhm.
but the chaos is still gonna be there." And I'm like, and she asked me about that. I'm like, I don't. That doesn't bother me, because having kids, it's like now we've got still have the same 2 dogs and a 2-year-old, and it's
Right.
like, so it's funny how in 2 years you can go from like college, doing your own thing, like me and
Mhm.
you were just doing our own thing, face like no,
Right.
and now it's just pandemonium.
Yep. All the time, every day.
Right. I would definitely say our
6:30 in the morning till like
6:30 every day,
yep, until about
sometimes earlier,
you're right.
even on
Until about
Saturdays.
8:30. Yeah.
Yeah, or we're nap time. We're in nap time now,
Yeah.
so we're not sitting here doing this while our daughter is she's sleeping, and we have the monitor. We're watching.
Right.
Um, but no, I just think like the difference between like the first pregnancy and the last one. Number one, we're eating much healthier.
Yeah.
This one, I gained almost 50 pounds our first pregnancy.
And I gained a ton of weight. I maybe it was like just the pregnancy and being they told me
Mm.
now that I had preeclampsia and that was no good
Well,
because you get so
we
whatever. But we're a lot healthier now because you just have to keep up with a 2-year-old.
yeah, well, where we live now, with where we lived before,
Oh yeah.
we had you could look out our front door and see Arby's, and then next to that was Quick Trip gas station,
Yeah.
and that's what we ate
You would go
like
on
every
so
day.
many quick trip runs for me. And I would send you with like a list of whatever I was
List of
craving.
like fried food, and then like sugar, chocolate,
Sugar, sour, sweet.
and then the problem, it wasn't a problem, but you would eat like 2 bites of that, and then I
Yes.
would eat the rest,
Right.
because again, I was always kind of like, especially like growing up, um, like if there was like anything left on the table, like I would eat it.
Mhm.
But I was also growing. You can only
Right.
do that for so long, and then you start to like get big.
Right, it catches up.
So like I think I weighed 250. I'm 6'3". I weighed 250 when we got pregnant the first time, and
Mhm.
I was like 300 pounds. Well, then now I'm like 291, 292.
Mhm.
So I've lost weight this pregnancy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was. I put on that first 50, and I have yet to lose it all. Yet to lose
That's
anywhere close to that.
well, and then you just become I mean, we used to go to the gym like every morning at like 4 in the morning.
5 days a week,
Yeah.
every Monday through Friday, we'd go to the gym.
Yeah. And we had this routine and we would do, shoulders one day, legs one day. We were really
Right.
but you have a baby and you can't do that anymore. I mean, one of you can,
Yeah,
but
but
even then it's like, well, when can I go after work?
it,
Like,
it it turns into, though, like your schedule become when you have a kid, like like we had 2 separate schedules
yeah.
before we had kids. Like
Right.
we did a lot of things together, but like there's no 2 separate schedules anymore. It's
You're
what's our
right.
schedule? What are we doing with our kid?
Very true.
And now that we're having another one soon, it's like I just feel, I think this baby's gonna be easier. I think we're gonna be not overwhelmed, but we're gonna be like overworked, and it's gonna be
Yes.
hard. But the baby, like the parenting thing, is, I think we're already good at that.
Yeah.
That was the scariest part for me the first time,
Totally.
but then now this time it's like, um, we have 2 dogs.
Yeah.
We're about to have an infant,
Yeah.
and we have a 2-year-old who is psychotic. Like I love her to death. She's not psychotic. She is freaking nonstop.
Yeah. She just has a lot of energy and she has sass. She's also so sweet, but
She's very
she's a
smart.
2-year-old.
She's very smart too. Everybody
Very
says that.
smart.
My kid's so smart. My kid is smart.
Yeah,
My kid is
actually.
very smart.
Yeah.
And I'm not like, I'm like, if people are like, my kid's so smart, I'm like, you have a dumb baby. But
Compared to our baby.
our baby is smart.
Yeah, everyone does say that.
I
But
know.
she does have a big head.
Well, you and I both have big heads.
I know.
She had
so
a
that
massive.
makes sense.
When she was born, her head was 14 inches in circumference or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yep.
That seems like that's wrong. I feel like I'm saying that wrong. We'd have to look that up. I'm gonna say it and stick with it for now.
Yeah.
And correct it later if we're wrong. I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure it was 14 inches in circumference, like around.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you know what they said this baby's was already?
Oh no,
Like 12.
it's already 12 inches around.
Yeah.
Baby. Oh
I
no. Oh no.
I know. Because they sent, like, when you do your last ultrasound before you give birth, they're doing a lot of measurements. I mean, halfway through, this is if you go the typical hospital, regular appointments with your OB. I know that not everybody does it that way, but if you do it kind of the traditional hospital way, you have a ultrasound scan at 20 weeks, and they do all those measurements, and they figure out what's going on, and then towards the end they want to figure out how things are measuring, when what delivery might look like. So they gave us all these measurements for things, and it was something like, I had to convert it because it was in centimeters, and
Right.
but I think it was like over 12 inches.
Babe.
I know.
Brinley messed you up. Not in like
No.
not in that way.
No.
But I do remember like after
No.
birth, because they had to cut you, and I
Yeah.
remember like because I went to look at the placenta, and then I saw you laying there, and I was like,
When you went down to
right,
her, and
went down to her, and then I remember looking and going like, oh no.
yeah,
But
yeah,
he
that
made a joke too. He was like, "Don't worry, I do a good job stitching it up." I'm like, "I'm sure you do," and he did. I mean, you would never know,
right.
but it's like she's already 12 inches around.
That's what it
We
said.
have another month.
I know.
We make big headed.
Hopefully that'll just be her
babies.
head size, and then she'll just get chubbier.
Hopefully,
I don't know.
Brinley is
Oh.
big. Like not like she's not like big she's just
No, she's just
large for her age.
Everybody is like, how is she 2 years old?
Right. She looks like she's like 3 or 4.
Yeah, because she's so
And she
tall.
acts like she's 3 or 4. Like that she
Mhm.
talks at a level that I think is probably better than some 3 and 4-year-olds.
Yep, I would say so.
Like she is saying full sentences of what, and she's like able to communicate what she wants.
Mm-hmm.
Can we tell the story about what she did today
What did she? I'm
with
trying to
with the
remember.
microphones?
Oh
we,
yeah, of
we
course.
were getting the microphones ready, and we were like, for some reason we like tried recording. We were doing like a test record, and
Yeah.
my mic wasn't working. So then I was like, oh, what the heck? So I figured out what was going on, and then we were testing it. And Brinley was downstairs with us, and so I was like, check, check, check. And then I'm like, check your mic. And then so Haley was like,
Mm-hmm.
check, check, check. And then Brinley grabbed the mic, and she was like, check, check, check your diaper, check your diaper, check your diaper. It's like, and then she goes, check your diaper. It's
She
like,
just went
yeah,
off.
she
I
thought
had
it
to.
was so funny.
I had to walk away
Did you
because
pee
I
your
was
pants?
gonna pee my pants.
Did you?
No, I didn't.
I
But
think it's-
pee my pants at least twice a week
I think
from
it's
laughing.
phenomenal how often you pee your pants.
She.
She'll pee her pants and she'll leave a mark on the couch.
They
It is so funny.
They told me.
I purposely try to make you pee your pants.
Especially okay. I will like randomly pee my pants, but when Cammie's here and you're
Mhm.
home, that is usually when I have most of my problems.
Yeah, it's so funny.
Cammie's my sister,
When-
and you two, when you guys get going, it's like
Right.
yeah. So anyway, that's probably like the 14th time I've peed my pants. I didn't today though, but I had to.
When you say
Run
I'm gonna
away.
pee my pants, I just push. I go. I like
know you
put
do.
the throttle all the way from like make her pee, and then I don't know if I succeeded or not because you always run away. And then when you come down wearing different pants, I'm like, yes,
Got her.
she pissed herself. It's so funny to me.
They told me that her head is like right on my bladder, and they're like,
Right.
"Oh God, your poor bladder."
Well, we even at the ultrasound, they were like,
Yeah.
how do you have any room for urine? Like your bladder is so
yeah, I
pressed."
know, and I'm like that. Yeah, I know. I go to the bathroom like every 20 minutes. Seriously.
Yeah. You know, some old men have issues with that, so I can relate to you in that way.
Hopefully, after she's here, that's
Right.
resolved.
Can we talk about how comfortable these dude shoes are? We're,
This is not an ad, also.
no, I'm not. Yeah, we're not sponsored by. We're doing this for fun. We're not sponsored by anybody. This is not something we get paid to do.
Right.
But these dude shoes, I like.
This is your day 2 of wearing these, right?
Day two. I was a big
Yeah.
Croc guy, and I used to say I would never wear Crocs
Yeah.
because like Crocs are stupid. They look so dumb.
They look super
They-
dumb. They're
they
really
look-
ugly.
Yeah, so I was like, I'll never wear them. And then I got a pair and I tried them on. It's like they're
They're
so
the
they're
best.
so comfortable. And when you're like mowing,
Yeah.
they're wearing mowing, you can get them wet. You can
Yeah.
and they just dry. Don't have to wear socks
You
with
can
them.
also eat them and survive on them for like days.
This whole thing. No, you.
Yeah, you can.
You cannot.
In the wilderness, if you were wearing them, yeah, I guess you can eat them. Anyway, I love
Who?
Crocs so much that I wore
Let,
them to our wedding,
yeah, she did actually. White Crocs under her. In her
which
dress.
was like the best decision
Right.
ever.
Can I ask you a question though?
Yeah.
Who in their right mind? No, I'm serious. Hold on, wait. Is going into the wilderness wearing Crocs?
That was my thought
Nobody.
too.
Not a
Yeah.
single person.
I think it's more of like if you get stranded kind of thing.
Yeah, but you still have to be near woods. To get stranded in the woods, you have to go into the woods willingly with
Maybe
Crocs.
you're stranded. People wear those on boats.
I suppose that would be a good, yeah, if you're drifted
Yeah.
out to sea in a boat and you ate Crocs.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, that's to each their own.
Yeah.
I just think that when you say that, I'm like, that's not like a reason to, like, nobody's like,
Oh,
I gotta buy these
no,
because
it's not like in their
because in
marketing.
case of emergency, I could eat them.
No. Yeah, no.
But anyways, back to the dudes. They're I think they're more comfortable than Crocs, and they're also way more stylish. And
They're
look
like,
better.
oh yeah, they're definitely more stylish.
And my feet are super wide, and they don't feel like they like push down. They feel very comfortable.
They look very breathable.
They are.
I'm into that.
Also, my mom sent me these socks. And they say something about a dad joke. I don't know, but my dad, he was like, I will never wear those socks. So then my mom's like, you want them? I was like, yep, send them my way.
Yeah, you love those kind of socks.
Right. I wear. Well, then for Christmas, so we do this thing called the box for Christmas, and I know a lot of our family is going to see this, and they're going to be like, oh yeah, we already know this.
Mm-hmm.
But some people that don't know us, it's good to explain that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We do this thing called the box, and it's like a bunch of small gifts. And it's nothing like super expensive, but and that's not the point of it. The point of it's not to get. It's just to interact with family, and it's a fun game
Right.
where you pick out a gift, and then once you open it, somebody can steal it from you, and it can only get stolen a certain number of times before that person owns it.
Locks it in.
There's like strategy involved. You and I will like double steal to lock it in, so we keep it. And
We're
I know that.
notorious for.
Right.
Yeah.
And like Kara did it with her husband.
Mm-hmm.
He was on FaceTime, so then Kara was like, "Okay, I'm gonna steal it, and then you're gonna steal it." And we're like, But that was so. Anyways, where was I going with that?
Oh, we were talking about the socks because you got some.
Oh yeah. So
from the
anyways,
box.
I got two pairs of Monopoly socks, in this box, and now I'm like a big goofy sock guy.
Yeah.
I just like wearing goofy socks, and I have to wear high socks for work.
Yeah, so it works.
So because these are all high, I used to wear only low cut socks, but with work I just have to wear. Otherwise I get blisters. So
Right.
I like to wear goofy socks, and we got these mics 2 days ago.
I love that about you, though. You just come up with ideas and then we just do them.
Well, because it's like I think that we can talk and it doesn't feel forced.
Right.
And like I know right now we're talking in a way that like we know other people are going to listen to it.
Yeah.
But we can still have like an organic conversation. It's Father's Day tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
Happy Father's Day, Dad. I didn't get you a card. I'm really sorry. But just know I love you very much. And I love my grandpa, Papa.
Yeah.
All the fathers in my life. I'm not going to name them all because there's a lot.
Right.
Love you all. But those two, my dad and my Papa.
Uh-huh.
But I went out to the bar with Shane and Cammie and Carla.
That's my mom, dad's sister.
Yeah. That's her side of the
So
family.
my side.
Right. We went out to eat, and then we were like, "What are we gonna do?" It's like Father's Day, and like I looked at Shane. I'm like, "You want to go? You want to go to the bar?" And he was like, "Yeah, I'll go for a couple." And like, when you think of like going to the bar, like when we go to the bar, it's not everybody else is going to the bar. We just
Right.
go to be social, and like we do drink, but we're not like. Well, anyways, there was a guy there last night that was. I worked at a bar for 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
He was. If I was working, because I worked as a bouncer. If I would have seen him in the bar I worked at, he would have been kicked out the second I saw. I wouldn't have to talk to him. 'Cause
Right.
You can just tell by the way people walk when they have been way overserved.
Right.
Well, he's sitting there. There's a couple, and the guy gets up to go to the bathroom, and this guy goes and sits next to this guy's girlfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Well, he comes back, and I just see him motion like get up, get out of the chair, and then he's like arguing with the guy. Finally, he gets up. Well, then he stumbles his way over to our table, and then so it's
Just hitting all the tables wherever he can.
right. But he's talking to like these
What?
women. So he like leans against the table, and Carla's at the end of the table, and then April, one of Carla's friends, met us at the
Yep.
bar. April was sitting next to me, and then Cammie was sitting across from me.
Mm-hmm.
So like Cammie's here, Carla, and then April, and then this guy's here leaning on the table, and then Shane's over here.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at Shane because I get very annoyed I get very protective of women,
Right.
especially if they're in my family.
Right.
So like when we go out, I'm just very conscious of that.
Mm-hmm.
I've got another story about that too. Remind me to tell you the one about in Kansas. Do you remember that story?
I think
When we were in
so.
Kansas. Anyways,
Oh yeah, yeah,
so he like I didn't say anything to him the first time because he just kind of walked away, but he like touched Carla and was like being kind of inappropriate, but he's also just really drunk. And
Right.
like Shane and I were like, all right, he's just an idiot. Like leave.
Right.
Well, then April had to leave, so then there's an empty spot next to me. Well, he comes back and sits down at our table, and then he's like talking about. He's like, "Oh my gosh," looking at Cammy,
Mm-hmm.
"You're so hot. You're so hot." And it's like, dude, her parents are sitting right
Yeah.
there,
Who
and
do
like
you
everybody
belong
felt
to?
really weird.
Yeah.
So I looked at him and I said a few choice words,
Mhm.
basically saying, "You need to leave. Like you're not welcome here."
Right.
I said it a little more aggressive than that. And he looked at me and he said, "I'm not leaving." And I said, "How much do you want to bet your ass is going to be out of that chair, whether you like it or not?" And then another guy came up and saw that I was getting heated, some random guy, and was like,
Yeah.
"Hey, you should probably get up." Like,
Right.
because I was like, one, you've touched my mother-in-law inappropriately. You're
Mhm.
talking inappropriately about my sister-in-law.
Right.
And it's like, you're not welcome.
Right.
And I have time and time again shown that I am not afraid to
Well,
put somebody in their place who's disrespecting women.
so
I hate
then,
that.
right, which is super true because everybody, you guys came home and then everybody was talking about it like, oh, guess what happened? This is what happened. And Brian, like,
Yeah, no, it was,
but to me, it's like, I've heard that
right. Well,
lots
there was
of
a time.
times.
So
It
my
doesn't shock me.
so my oldest sister, like I don't think that Cammy and Carla had ever seen me be like
No,
that.
I don't think they have
But
either.
my oldest sisters have.
Right.
And so when we were at the bar in Kansas one time, and this was before we had kids, or
Yep,
or
we were down
even
for
we weren't
Christmas.
even married,
Right.
and it was me, my two sisters,
Your two older sisters.
and then my two older sisters, you, and then my sister's husband, my
Yep.
oldest sister's husband. So I go up to go to the bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
and then I come out of the bathroom, and my sister's husband is standing there, and he kind of like stops me. And he's like, "Look, Kara sent me over here. Kara's my oldest sister," and he goes, "Don't freak out." But there are two guys that are at our table, and they're
Yeah.
hitting on. They were hitting on you, and they were hitting on Sarah.
Yep.
And I was like, "Really?" So I walked past Aaron, went to the table, sat down, and immediately said, "You and you," and I said some very explicitly and sternly, "Leave."
Uh-huh.
And they were like, and
Yeah.
But anyways, I have no patience for that. Like,
No.
if you're at a bar, I get it. Like, we're at a bar, so that's a social setting, and
Right.
that's where people meet each other. Like you and I, even we met at a bar.
Yeah.
But when you feel that you are no longer welcome at a table, especially
Right.
since two of them, like my oldest sister was already married.
Yep.
You and I, or were they married? They were married.
No, they weren't. They weren't yet. They were engaged.
They were engaged. Okay. You and I had been dating
Mhm.
for like 2 years, 3 years maybe.
Yep.
And then, and then I've still got my other sister who, even if she was single, I don't remember if she was single at the time. It doesn't matter. You're not talking to my sister. Like I will end your night.
Right.
So I just think it's like hilarious how, but like I said, I don't. And then like when we called up, so like last night I called the bouncer over and I said, "Hey, just so you know, if there is a problem, it's not me starting anything."
Right.
And he's like, "I know, because you're like clearly coherent." Because I'm like, I don't get just hammered anymore.
Right.
And I'm like, I know I'm coherent. I'm telling you, he won't leave these ladies alone,
Right.
and I will make him leave them alone if you don't kick him out.
Mhm.
Well, I'll talk to him, and I'm like, he's like, we kick people out all the time. I'm like, kick him out. He's not.
That was my thing. Like, why is he still here then? If he's
Right.
literally going table to table, bothering women.
Any women, and it doesn't matter if there's other guys there, and
and he
he's
didn't
just
have friends with him. Like,
yeah. He was
what
like,
is he
we're like,
still
do you have
doing here?
friends here? And he's like, oh, and we found out he was from Sleepy Eye, and we're like, dude, you're way
That's
away from home.
random. Yeah.
Right, like you're kind of far away.
Hmm.
But I don't know. That was entertaining. It got blown out of proportion with what actually happened,
Right.
with the stories that were being told last night after the fact.
Right.
Where it was like, okay, I wasn't like,
You didn't like take his face
Right.
and smash it in the
Right.
table. It was.
I just, like-
Right.
but no, I just don't like. I don't like when I see other guys disrespecting women. Like,
Right.
if a woman, what bothers me though is when you see a guy like this happened in Mankato when we were at the hotel,
Oh
And we
yeah.
walked down, and that guy pushed that girl, and I got in his face. I'm like, what are you doing? Why don't you try pushing me?" And then he, whatever, walked away. Well, then like 5 minutes later, you see her chasing him out the door,
Yeah.
and you're like,
Well,
okay.
then there's nothing.
It's like, I was like, whatever. Like, if you're gonna like, and that's not, like, I'm not faulting anyone's experience or whatever,
Right.
but like, if a guy physically hurts another girl, and then it's like you can only do so much
Right.
to where then it's like, well, it doesn't
Okay.
matter what I do, like,
Right.
because I didn't know that one. I didn't, anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was just, it's frustrating though. But
But I think all in all, you guys had some fun. So we're in Minnesota, and it's not usually this hot.
it's not that bad today.
Today's really nice, but it's been like 90 degrees,
Oh yeah, the last like 2 weeks,
almost 100.
I work outside.
Yeah.
And and usually I'm good out, and I can do. I was like, I went through. Me myself went through a whole case of water
Yeah.
one day, and I felt like I still wasn't drinking
Which
enough
is
water.
good because I'm always on your ass about drinking water.
I know, but it was so hot.
I know.
We, I it's kind of died down now, and we've needed some rain. And I hate when we're like, let's talk about the weather, but like we've needed rain. We got some rain.
Yeah.
Like my grandpa will call me. He's like, "How's the weather up there?" Good. It's
Right.
good. But it's I don't know. I love when he calls me and talks about the weather.
Yeah.
I do. I love when he calls me anytime.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. Usually we're like, oh yeah, it's a polar vortex. But we're good. I mean, the house is staying warm enough to.
right, the house. Yeah, you can't see your breath inside the
Yeah.
house, so that's good. It's like in the wintertime you get like -40, and
Yeah.
then you'll get to 100. Like, and then in the spring and fall, in 1 week you'll have like an 80-degree shift in weather.
Yeah.
And it won't
no
stay one way or the other.
exaggeration.
It'll just go back and forth, and you're like it's like hot. You have heat on in the car one day, and then you have to have the AC and the windows down either the same day or the next day. And
Yeah.
you're like okay, make up your mind.
Yeah, it's
Which
absolutely crazy.
I know that. I get it. We live here. I've lived here for my whole. I lived in the Midwest my whole life.
Mhm.
Was born here, whatever. But it's like, and then my parents are back in Texas, and my mom's like, it's so nice here. I'm like, I know it is, but like this is home. Like this is normal
Mhm.
for me.
Right.
I think it'd be nice to move south someday. Like
Mhm.
move, not even necessarily super far south, but just south where we don't get such cold weather.
Yeah, that's true.
I'm okay with the snow. I don't mind the snow. I don't mind a little
I hate
bit.
it. Let's get rid of it forever.
You hate the snow.
I hate it. Okay, I like
So if
it
we can
when
move,
it's
where are we going?
Christmas time, and then as soon as Christmas is over, I want it to just.
Right.
I want to be like that guy with the flamethrower or the flame. Yeah, like melting it all away. You remember that video that went
Yeah, I've
viral?
seen that.
I hate it so much after that.
Yeah, I like I like to have a white Christmas.
Yeah,
But then after
that's
that, I'm
it.
like, all right, Christmas is over.
Let's be done with this.
But then it goes in Minnesota. It goes
Till
until April,
Every
and you'll
year.
get like a foot of snow in April. And
Yeah.
You're like, all right, I'm over this. So we had a little technical difficulty with our camera, but it's back up. Shut off for some reason, but
We're still pretty new at all this stuff.
yeah, like I said, we got these mics. This is about to fall. I'm gonna tighten that up.
Is it? Oh,
I feel like it.
oh yeah, definitely it was. Glad you said that.
Yeah, there we go.
Okay,
So,
that's better.
like, okay, but what I think, and the other thing too though is like when you have kids, so like I said, that guy, he can go out and be with his, whatever, his wife's at home, but you still gotta be a parent in the morning.
Right.
But like for me, one, I don't want to be away. Like I have no desire to be like, I'm gonna go out to the bar by myself.
Right.
And whatever, like I said, they're happily married, to each their own. But to me, that sounds like, because it's like, for me, I'm like, dude, you got a family at home. Like, what are you
Right.
doing? You got a wife that's at home with your kid
Mhm.
and soon to be kids. What are you doing at the bar by yourself?
Right.
For me, that's how it feels for me. I have no
Right.
desire to do that. I want to go out with you and
Right.
leave the kids. Like, be like,
Yeah.
time for us to pretend we don't have kids for a little bit. Which,
Right.
I don't care if that makes sense. It doesn't make me sound. I'm a great father,
Yeah.
but good Lord, sometimes I got to get rid of kids. Oh
Well,
my gosh.
you have to, and I'm learning this more now too, is you have to remember that you're not always going to be a parent to little kids. Like right now it feels that way, but you have to remember that you're a person too, and you're not just a dad all the time.
Right.
I'm kind of saying it, but also trying to tell myself that too. But yeah, you have to go out and do those things because you're still who you were before you had kids.
Yeah, and it's good for your marriage too.
It's real, yeah.
Like,
We've learned that.
When you and I take time, just me and you, because you're so much focused on like what does she need? Packing. We got to pack her bag for daycare. We got to do this. We got to do
Yep.
this. What does she need? And then it's like finally when you don't have to worry about that, and
Mhm.
and you put the care of your child into somebody else that you trust,
Yeah.
but you don't
Right.
have to worry about them. Then it's kind of like, oh, like this is how we get to interact how we did before we were, and it's like
Right.
I feel like that's been the huge, like I don't think that we've ever lost our honeymoon phase.
No, I don't either.
Because like
I
sometimes
really
it's like
don't.
it's like super like you first meet each other and then but I feel like we've kept that
Mhm.
even through having kids and two houses, multiple jobs, marriage, all that. I
Mhm.
feel like but I think a reason we do that is because we make a point to make time for each other. I
Yes.
mean, we'll make a point to like just go go out to eat. Like, hey, we're gonna go out. We're gonna leave the kids,
Yep.
you know, and we're gonna go eat. Like,
And
we're
we've
just gonna.
been so lucky lately. I mean, moving back here and having my parents 9 blocks away, we
Yeah,
get so much more of a chance to do that. And it's usually pretty short. Like, it'll just be a night, like a Wednesday night, but we'll get to go kind of run away for dinner or something.
yeah, and it's never more than like. But it honestly doesn't have like
It doesn't have to be.
For us, it's like maybe an hour, maybe an hour and a half.
Yeah.
And it's like that's enough. That's enough to like refresh the batteries a little bit, and then
Right.
it's like, oh, it's because like having kids is like I'm not gonna say it's a burden because it's like the best job ever.
Yeah, it
But it's
totally is.
freaking hard. Like
Well,
it
you
is
go
hard being
anywhere you
a
go
parent.
is like you're focused on keeping everyone happy and reined in. And it's like when we took our weekend to Okoboji, it was so nice because it had been a while.
Right.
And it was like, oh, we can sit down at the bar and like talk to each other. And like I can touch your leg and I can focus on you and what you're
Right.
saying
You're
and
not
not.
having to like make sure that she's okay.
Right.
And you were pregnant when you did that. When we did that, that was fun.
That
I
was
want
fun.
to. I was talking to my mom about that. I
Mhm.
said if we because like my family wants to start doing instead of doing like a Christmas every year,
Mm-hmm.
like pick a time where we go to like a destination thing
Yeah.
and do that vacation. And for us with my vacation, I don't know when it's gonna work out, but I would
Right.
love to do that. But I was like, and also Okoboji, I was like really close to where we
Yeah.
live. It's like, but it was so fun. They have
That would
the
be so
resort
fun.
with the pool and they've got the indoor pool and the outdoor pool, and they have like a swim up bar.
Yeah.
And they also have all these other bars that are on the lake. So like, there's so much to do, and it's not just like you don't have to go out and drink. There's like a
Mhm.
lot to just do there.
Right.
It's kind of like the Wisconsin Dells,
It is.
but I would say it's like a on the lake version. Like there's so much more water stuff to do, which
Right.
I like better because I like being on the lake
Right.
and doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it's definitely geared more towards lake stuff. The lake and
Right. Well, half the restaurants are on the lake,
right.
so you can sit on the
Everybody's
patio.
got big boats and I mean the lake is huge.
Right.
Yeah. That was really fun.
I think I will push to do that. One, because it is so close to our house.
Yeah, totally.
But like but then on the other side, like I know my sister. She's like, I want to go to places that we've never been. Like she
Mhm.
wanted to go to Maine,
Mhm.
and like, I've never been to Maine. I mean, Midwest is pretty much if you draw a line from Minnesota straight down to Texas, and then you pick states on either side. That's
Yeah.
about where I've been.
Right.
I mean, other than for work.
Yeah, you've been
I
to-
flew all over the country for work,
That's true.
but that's not a vacation. You're there for work. You're in a hotel or you're at work
Or at the airport. Yeah.
or at the airport.
Yeah.
You're not like, I've been to Chicago, but I've been in O'Hare. That's all.
Yeah.
That's the only, like, or like, yeah, like when I went to Miami for work, I was like, oh, I'm
I
going
was
to
just thinking of
Miami,
that.
and it's like, no, it was hot. You're working.
You were like not a fan of Miami.
No, Miami. If you live in Miami, I'm sorry, but Miami's a dump. It is a dump. It is a garbage can of a city. Like there's nice parts of Miami.
So when I think of Miami, I think of like, welcome to
Yeah.
Miami.
So I was on the industrial side of Miami.
Oh.
Like because that's what we like when we were like with my last company built dust collectors. So like
Mhm.
that's for the industrial world, like manufacturers and stuff. So we go to these buildings, and they're just like these big buildings, and there's just garbage everywhere. And
Oh,
then like
yeah.
people, like you walk on the street and people are, like asking you for money, and you're like, look, I'd love to help you, but I'm just trying to get lunch. Like,
Right.
Like please don't follow me into this restaurant because that makes me
Oh,
feel uncomfortable.
Boy.
And I remember, yeah, it was just, and then and Tampa was okay, but Miami, I just remember it's like I remember driving through. I'm like, this is like I've never been to Miami before. This will be fun. And then I'm like,
Cool.
this is a dumpster. Like this is
Oh, God.
garbage. And people from like Miami would be like, I know there's beautiful sides of Miami,
Yeah, you just didn't get to see the like yachty.
Right.
Yeah, you didn't get to see the fun part.
I didn't get to
Probably.
see the fun side of
Yeah,
Miami, but
because I bet it's really
I
cool on that
guarantee you
side.
it's really cool. I bet the nightlife's fun.
Oh, for
Just
sure, I bet it is.
well, like so, like one story that my dad told me because I like traveling for work. Like it's like you really don't do like you don't experience like because when you got to go to work the next morning, and usually you don't get to stay an extra day. Like
Right.
when you're done working, you fly home.
Hmm.
Sometimes you do, but you usually get an early flight. Like one night I stayed an extra night because I couldn't get a flight. I
Right.
flew home the next day. Um, but like my dad had to go to Vegas for work,
Hmm.
and he was just like, after 9 o'clock, go to your hotel room. If unless you're like unless like if you're there for pleasure
For
or
fun.
fun,
Yeah.
go out. But he's like, if you're trying to like work, he's like, you can't. There's like it's just pandemonium after like 9 o'clock.
I would believe that totally.
But it's kind of, I mean, it's like you
Makes
just
sense.
like he went to his experience in Vegas was a work experience. I want to go to Vegas and that's what I think we're going to Vegas in October of next year, 2022.
For your sister's
My
21st
sister's
is what we're
21st
talking
birthday.
about.
Yeah, I've got a sister that's quite a bit younger than the rest. I've got three sisters. Two of them are older than me, and then one of them's quite a bit younger.
Hmm.
But for her 21st, we said we were going to go to Vegas. So I
Hmm.
think my mom wants to go.
That'd be fun.
I would love for my mom to go. My dad to go too. That'd be fun.
Yeah, that'd be
Be a
really
really
fun.
good time. We just
Super fun.
leave the kids here.
Yeah.
Oh, it'd be a good time. Yeah, we're not bringing our kids. Yeah, they're not coming.
To Vegas, yeah.
No.
But
No.
that's we're so lucky to have, you know, the help that we do and grandparents that are willing to take kids on. I mean, we're talking about hopefully going on a cruise this December and
Well, we're definitely going. We're definitely going to on a cruise.
hmm
We've already put money down on
right.
it. It's just like we're flying both of our kids out there, and then my parents are gonna watch them at my
Right.
sister's house, where we leave from.
Yep.
I don't want to give too much information about where my family lives because I mean, not that
Right.
it doesn't matter, but
No, but
we've already
and
given
this
enough
kind
about
of
where
goes
we
back
live.
to just that we're lucky to be able to do trips together and trips as
We're lucky with the family that we have, though. Both
yes,
sides.
absolutely.
They're very involved with our kids' lives, and they want to help, and like
yes,
we're just very fortunate.
totally.
So, but that's about an hour.
Yeah, that went fast.
I know. We're like we want to keep it to an hour
Uh-huh.
because then after an hour, it's kind of like, well, this is just dragging on.
You
But,
and I could keep going.
yeah, I
but
could
yeah,
go for
we,
another 10 hours. But I just for people that want to watch or listen, it's like, okay, we'll stop.
right.
But I think that was. We're gonna do a lot more of this. I don't know like how often, but the Happy Campers podcast, we do it out of our camper. If you can't tell, we don't live in here. We we don't live in a camper.
No.
Not that there's anything against that because I think it'd be
Even
fun
though Brian
to
is
do.
always talking about how he wants to live out of
Yeah,
a camper.
I think it'd be really fun. But we enjoy being outside and being, we actually wanted to do this from a campsite, but we couldn't get on anywhere, so we're actually sitting in our backyard.
Mm-hmm.
But
Because that
it's
works
still
too.
fun, and I really enjoy doing this. Whether or
Me
not
too.
people actually like listening to what we have to say, or listening to our stories, or they think we're dumb, I don't care.
Or maybe we're really boring and we think we're funny,
Yeah,
but
I
that's
know.
okay.
I really enjoy
Have
doing
a
this.
good time with it.
I think it was fun, and I think we're gonna do it. We're trying to keep it. So we want to be open about things like things that we've like dealt with in our marriage, and like things that obstacles that we've whether it's with like kids or
Mhm.
sex or what, and not that not to be vulgar but like
No, but that's a very real part of
it's a very
marriage.
important part of your marriage.
Yes.
And and so it's like we want to be able to talk about like pretty much anything,
Mhm.
but also have it be kind of more family, not like family, but family friendly. Like,
Well, I mean, we don't need. We talked a little bit about being mindful about the terminology used when we're talking about certain things can go
Right.
a long way. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, but we still want to. I mean, we're just gonna talk about whatever we want to talk about,
Yeah.
whatever comes up, and it just be organic conversation. I think that
Mhm.
this was really fun. I
Me
really like
too.
doing this.
I think this was a good episode to get everybody kind of like understanding where we're from, kind
Right.
of where we're at.
Yep.
But I think we're just going to kind of see what topics come up, and stories will obviously organically come with that because we have lots of stories. And
Yeah, we got a lot of funny stories.
yeah, we
so.
do.
But no, thanks you guys for listening and or watching, whatever. I think we're gonna put this out on YouTube and then also do we'll probably put the audio out on some podcasts. I don't know, like you can do Spotify, but there's some other ones I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But if you liked it, please share it with people, or if it was something was I don't know. I think
Yeah, or
think
just
it's
tune
good.
in if you like it. Yeah.
Right. So I don't know how often we're gonna upload, but like if you just follow us on whatever platform you find us on, we'll just I think we'll probably do it fairly often, but we're also parents and busy, so
Yeah.
we probably can't do it every day. But I'd like to do maybe 2 or 3 a week.
Yeah, I think that's good.
All right. Well, let's wrap it
Alright.
up. Thank you guys very much. That was fun.
See you next time.
See ya.